If you wanted to address an issue, just bring it before the council. We have a bill, this concerns our budget. We have a bill that we didn't realize apparently that our budget, a particular line item had been cut when the current budget was adopted. And I was the assistant chief then, I wasn't privy to the meetings. I don't know who said what or who was there, but this particular bill is for our cop sync licenses. It's $15,500. What has been in the budget, previous budgets, was $16,000 that would cover this bill. And the only reason the chief wanted me to bring this before the council tonight is this bill, or this system, the cop sync system, the licensing is imperative to our operations that we have. Our NIRS compliance, which is a federally mandated compliance, will fall out of place if we lose this licensing. Also, this is what we use to do our police reports, our citations, and without that, we would have to find some other system somewhere. So this bill again is $15,500. I talked with Ms. Moreno yesterday, and her recommendation was let's go ahead and get it paid and go through the budget and find somewhere to take it from. But in talking with the chief and reviewing the budget, we just don't have it there. If we were to, even if we could find $15,000, some other line items in the budget, it would deplete the rest of the budget. Excuse me. For example, our training budget, our firearms budget, we still have people that we have scheduled to go to a patrol rifle class, which is mandatory for our patrolmen. We have 6 people scheduled for June. If we were to deplete the training budget, we can't send these people to courses. We have other officers that need to go to courses as well, so it's just a far stretch to find the $15,000. I did speak with Ms. Moreno. She is trying to help us address it. We had some other items we identified that she's going to help us address also. But for the time being, this bill was due May 1st, and here we are getting toward the end of May, and we just don't have it. So the chief asked me to bring this to your attention and hopes that perhaps we could find a way to get this resolved before we lose our licenses. So I appreciate your time. Thank you all very much.
Is there anyone else that needs to?
Good evening, Jim Lawhon. I want to talk just for a moment about item 4, your executive session, what I have some concern about, and I'm doing that now instead of later because I don't think I'm going to make it till the end of the meeting. It may just be a matter of wording, but it seems like in that action item, or in that item, you're potentially going to take some sort of personnel action toward the comptroller. Now, the city charter certainly allows you and authorizes you to do investigations of any sort on city employees, but any personnel actions are under the purview of the city manager. And so certainly anything that you might try to do, I'm not sure would be enforceable. On the other side of this thing, I have had the opportunity over years to watch our comptroller work, to see her reports, to see her responses to your questions. She has done an excellent job, and I would give her a very high performance recommendation if you're going to be ready here. Thank you.
Is there anyone else?
How you doing? I'm Troy Tackett with Floresville League. Come to you today, not by choice, but by parents arguing and complaining out in the fields. I know I sent messages to several of y'all council members, Ms. Turner, Ches Pettis, everybody taking part of these fields. These fields are in bad shape. Again, I know y'all approved a $65,000 guy from Alice to work on these fields. It's not getting done. Sounds like that money could be used for police here too. That guy's getting paid way overpaid for not doing any job. He told us in that meeting the missions would want to play on this field. It's not there. It's not even close. Little League don't want to play on these fields. That's how bad it is. There's home plates that have been requested to be fixed. Kids are twisting ankles. We had one kid break a leg out there. On this field, we need help from y'all. It's not getting done. Heartland, we came up here and argued with that about the same thing. These fields getting worked on, getting done. nothing's getting done. I'm tired of coming up here. I mean, I've talked to every one of y'all, everyone. We need to get this done. We need this guy held accountable from Dallas to make these fields look good. Keep the grass out of the infield. We have tournaments coming up this next month in June. We have teams from the Broncos, Seguin, there's like eight different towns coming here. I don't want them to come right now. And y'all shouldn't either. It's pitiful. These fields do not look good. And I don't know what we could do. I've sent messages to Ms. Turner and Ches. We need more people that we can contact. Or be able to talk to Henry directly. I brought up this plate issue, which has been brought up several times throughout the season. One of his workers were there the other day. I was out there. Said, hey man, can you fix that plate on 3 before you leave? What's the matter with it? He didn't know nothing about it. Somewhere communications are getting wrong. And it's a example of our community, our leadership here, that stuff ain't getting done. And like I said, I don't think $65,000 going to this guy is right at all for what we're getting. This year's, you know, we could find somebody much closer, much more defendable, probably for a whole lot less. I don't know why we chose this guy. I know they said he had accolades and all this, but this guy is not holding up to his bargain at all. If anybody wants pictures, you contact me. I know I sent some up already. He was out here Wednesday. There was one field that looked okay after he left. That's not acceptable for him to come down here twice a month and only fix one field that was kind of okay. So I just want to bring that up to the council and everybody that it ain't being taken care of out there. I know if you would have been out there in the last couple of weeks, you would see for yourself. I know there's been rain, but I've seen plenty of people out there mowing grass in San Antonio on baseball fields in the rain, making sure the fields look good for the kids. But we can't do that here. And I've tried to work on those fields, and I've been told by Ms. Turner and Ches that we cannot work on them because it will compromise that $65,000 contract. But like I told them, you're not getting nothing out of that. We're paying for something that we're not even getting work done anyways. So why not break that contract? That's the way I see it, and I think y'all would feel the same way. I'm hoping that we start seeing some of that produce and getting those fields taken care of for these kids and for this tournament. This tournament will start June 15th. So it's a representation of y'all is the way I see it. And the way we put it out to those parents that come and complain to us, we tell them to call y'all directly. And I don't know if they've been calling, but I know Ms. Turner's gotten several calls from what the parents have told me, but still nothing's being done. And it's sad to see that it's doing that after Heartland. And after the complaints with Heartland have already been coming through, nobody's stepping forward. And like I said, it's a full board here. So, do y'all have any questions?
We heard you.
Okay.
Well, we can answer.
All right.
Thank you. Is there any more questions? Comments? No one else? Okay, then we'll go to old business. A, CNA to approve meetings for the regular council meeting on May the 9th, 2019.
I make a motion to pass this as is.
Do I have a second?
I second.
Okay. All in favor? Raise your right hand. 5-0. Okay, now we'll go to, number 2, presentation and discussion. A, 2020 census, Mr. Richard
Castañón.
Castañón.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Good evening, Council and Mr. Turner and Ms. Ellis, for the opportunity to present to you about the 2020 census. It's been 9 years, and we're getting ready to do another one, which will happen next year. And I wanted to I've been coming here for a while, speaking with Ms. Turner, and because we have an interest in the city of Floresville to conduct the census in order to get a full and accurate count of your city. The reason why it's important is for a couple of reasons. One of them is that for the first time ever, we're going to do it in a different way. If some of you may recall that you would get the census form in the mail, and then you would just answer it and mail it back. Well, this time we're not going to get the form in the mail. We're going to get a letter instead that will give us instructions on how to do it 3 different ways. One of them is the internet. That letter will have a code that matches your household, so if you want to go online and do it, you can put that code in there, and then you do your census, answer your questions online. The second one is by phone. There'll be a phone number where you can call and do the questions by phone by punching in the numbers accordingly. And the third option is you can still do the paper form, but you've got to request it now. It's not going to come in the mail. That letter is going to come. So there'll be another phone number in there where you can call to request the actual paper form, and we'll mail it to you immediately. So that new way of doing it is very important for the city to understand and let the community know how it's going to be done. And towards that end, the census has been working with counties and cities throughout the nation, implementing a program, a national program called Community Partnership and Engagement Program, CPEP. And the central piece of that program is this thing we call, this format we call Complete Count Committee. We're asking counties and cities to put together a complete count committee made up of members of your own community from different sectors of the community, such as business, schools, local government, churches, members of the chamber, sports organizations, community-based organizations, as many people as you think would be very representative of your community. And their main task is to come up with a public awareness plan. And some of the plans that I've seen from and I've heard from other communities, it pretty much looks like a calendar of events where the information about how the census is going to be done and when can be done and be shared with the members of the community. All of this plan gets put together this year. So the committee, when it's formed, we train the members. I will come back personally and train the committee to do and how to do this work plan, and then whatever they come up with on that program, on that work plan, gets implemented next year. So nothing is really, getting done or it's not being done out in the community until next year when this plan is implemented from January through March. Because April 1st of next year, sorry to tell you, but we're not going to have an April Fool's Day. It's going to be Census Day. So those that don't want to do it, they can take that day for themselves. But Census Day is going to be officially April 1st, nationwide. So all these committees nationwide, and I've got them in Elmondale, in San Antonio, all the cities within the county are doing them, a lot of them, counties. All these CCCs, Complete Count Committees, will be working and implemented that awareness plan from January through March, so that by April 1st, a lot of people have already answered the census. That letter should be in everybody's mail by March 23rd. So as we do this campaign next year, when we start getting that letter, we know what to do. We don't have to, because you have been doing an awareness plan and they know about it. So we've talked to the city manager, and we are recommending that you create this Complete Count Committee so that your community starts getting ready with this work plan this year, and they know what to implement next year. The second biggest important reason why we are focusing in Floresville is because the census developed a tool that told us or showed us the potential percentage of response next year. It's a tool that we have, it's available on the internet, and it's basically telling us that about 24% in a couple of census tracts that cover most of your city. We don't have that tool by, within city limits, but by census tracts. But those 2 census tracts cover basically your entire city. And those census tracts have a low response score of 24%. So that means that about 24%, roughly speaking, of your population in Floresville are predicted not to answer the census because of a variety of reasons. The internet would not be too exciting for the elderly population, for example. You know, they probably want to do. They're going to have to call, and maybe they don't want to call, and so we have to, you know, push them to use one of these 3 options. And so we're looking at about almost a quarter of your population not responding to the census. That's the challenge, and that's the challenge that this committee, Complete Count Committee, needs to address. There is a lot of funds, a lot of money, literally at stake when 25% of the population is potentially not responding to the census. Losing 25% of the population can be translated into millions and millions of dollars throughout the whole decade. Because whatever the count is officially for the city of Floresville next year, when we get the count, stays with you for 10 years. Even though we'll be giving you population updates throughout the decade, the population number that they use for those funding purposes is the one we get next year, 2020. So I really urge you to consider passing the resolution, creating this Complete Count Committee here in Floresville, so we can address that potential 24, 25% of the population that we think might not answer the census for next year.
Any questions? No questions? How about the audience? Do you have any? No? Okay, with that said, I think I will move on new business number 3. We'll go ahead and move item is F and go ahead and do the resolution.
Yes, and Madam Mayor Pro Tem, if you can have someone make a motion and then a second and a vote on that.
Okay.
Make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
All in favor? Okay, 3F, CNA to approve resolution number 2019-011 to establish a census committee, and then,
I'm sorry, I just told my
and,
Would you like for me to read it?
no, do we have to take a vote on that?
Okay, yes ma'am, and then it'll be read.
And then I'll read it. No,
Okay, thank you ma'am.
So,
I'll make
do
a
I have a
motion.
motion
I'll second.
to accept the resolution?
And I'll second.
Okay, all in favor? 5-0. Okay, and the resolution number 2019-011 reads, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Floresville, Texas, authorizing the city manager to undertake efforts to support the U.S. Census 2020 and to coordinate efforts and deploy resources across the committee to achieve the most accurate and complete population count in the upcoming census, and declaring an effective date. Whereas the City Council of the City of Floresville, Texas recognizes that the U.S. Census Bureau is required by the U.S. Constitution to conduct a count of the population. And whereas the United States Census has been performed every 10 years since 1970, since 1790, thank you, with the last census completed in 2010. And whereas the Census 2020 provides a historic opportunity to help shape the foundation of our society and play an active role in American democracy. And whereas an accurate census count is vital to our community and residents' well-being by helping determine where to locate school, roads, and public transportation, along with other facilities, and is used for economic development and increased employment. And whereas the City of Floresville is committed to ensuring that every resident is counted. And whereas the City Council of the City of Floresville, Texas will undertake efforts to coordinate and deploy resources across the community to achieve the most accurate and complete county. And whereas the City of Floresville will undertake active to support a complete and accurate count, including but not limited to the formation of a complete count committee. Now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Floresville, Texas, that Section 1, the City of Floresville fully supports the efforts of the U.S. Census Bureau to obtain a complete population count for the City of Floresville, Texas, in the U.S. Census 2020. Section 2, the City of Floresville will participate with the U.S. Census Bureau to ensure a full and accurate count of residents and will encourage all residents to participate and be counted in the United States Census 2020. And Section 3, a Census 2020 Complete Count Committee shall be established to ensure a complete and accurate count. Section 4, this resolution shall take effect immediately from and after the date of passage, and is so resolved. Adopted this 23rd day of May 2019. So, do I have, so that's it.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Thank you, council, appreciate it.
Thanks, sir.
And if I may say, Mayor Pro Tem, that is quite an undertaking that we're going to be taking on, but it is so important for us to be accurately counted going forward in the year 2020. So thank you for doing that.
Thank you, Ms. Chen. Okay, now we'll do, number 2, go back to presentation and do the spectrum update.
Okay. Well, the attorney said she's going to let me do that. She's sucking on orange juice over there, and so we don't want to have her squeaking. But we had our second meeting today, just to bring everybody back up to speed. We met with Spectrum and their attorney a couple of weeks ago, and the direction then was to meet individually with each contractor. There were a total of 3, to see what we can do to figure out, what we can do and go back and forth. So we've met with 2. The only one that we left was Quest, and they mostly did everything in Riverbend, so they only had 2 breaks. And so we've met, the staff met, and the attorney met actually earlier today with BCOM and B Reynolds. And we've come back and forth, and we're trying to fine tune, but we've had a lot of duplications. We did come up with some things in reference to some of the sewer that was done. I don't think our crew feels comfortable that they adequately located them. And so we removed those, so chicks about halfway down. But they're looking at some numbers to maybe come up with some numbers that we can actually shake hands, and they write a check. So we're going to be having the attorney to contact them directly, if you so like. Or we can keep going through and going back and forth about where it is. Now, one of the things that happened is that we had pictures taken after the fact. We had pictures taken, didn't have addresses on it. It's a hole in the ground, we don't know where it's at, so they want to blame who's who. So if you could just want the attorney, you can give her direction to contact the attorney to see where we're at this point, to see whether we can come up with a number that we can put in writing that could settle this, and then she can bring it back to you directly to talk about that. That's where we are at this point.
Okay, so they haven't given you, they gave you figures already, but y'all don't
They have not officially given us anything. They just said they were willing to, rather than us spend, the next 3 or 4 months going back and forth, that they'd be willing to talk about the settlements. And so I just need you to have a consensus to give direction to your attorney to start that kind of conversation.
I think Madam Mayor and Council, I think we're at that point already. I was really excited about today's meeting. I think that they have accepted some responsibility, which I thought at our first meeting, it was kind of like pulling teeth. So we've come a long way, and I think that we're headed in a good, positive area for the city of Floresville.
So we're going to reduce some of this in writing so that 2 attorneys can to do so, but we may not have any update by the next meeting, but we'll keep it on the agenda so that we can make sure that we can tell you we're still waiting. But we're ready to start having the attorneys to do some discussion, if that's okay with you all.
Yes.
Okay. Well, thank you so much.
Is there any questions from the council?
Question. Do we know at this time how much, as far as what we're looking at, Attorney?
We're actually still looking at that. What I can tell you, Councilman, is that the at the very beginning stages, when this was discovered, the documentation was extremely a lot better than what we've been able to do now. And what I mean by that is, we were able to take photographs, we were able to actually have addresses. But unfortunately, then there was a change there. We lost our public works individual, and after that, it kind of went on the wayside, where it was not fully documented. So we don't have photographs for those other areas that we sustained damages. And then it ended up that some of those damages also were even duplicated. So we're still trying to get that down to a list. I think that today we were able to come up with a pretty good list to give them and tell them, we think that these are the ones that we can totally document.
So at this time, are we still having complaints about damages?
We're not having any complaints about damages at this point, because again, as we talked about at the first meeting that we had, they are officially, with the overall construction of it, they are officially done. And so what they're working on right now is individual home and connected, so you still see them, their trucks are still out there, you still see them. But the contact,
those homes.
they're doing, connecting and doing it for other people, high-speed internet. That's really important. It's kind of ironic because I had, they keep calling me for people who live in a Brigham Lake. They keep saying, when are they gonna come out this way? I'm like, you're not me, so I don't really know. So they're trying to get the high speed. So some people really like the high speed, and now that we have it, I had somebody who called, who looked at the industrial park, was asking the industrial park if they had high speed internet out there, and they do not. And so it is indeed an unnecessary evil, so to speak. But we are coming, and they have come and taken on some responsibility. That's a long way from at the first meeting, like, it ain't us. So we'll come, but of course, the attorneys need to start to reduce this to writing, so that we can actually start saying if we're going to actually go to settlement, or will we have to end up in court. I'm really not leaning towards that kind of thing, because if I bring up my records and who would have to testify, I don't know how good will bear out. But I'll let the attorney make some progress with that, and then we'll report back to you.
And I think we were both shocked, Ms. Turner, at our first meeting to learn that they had actually been done already, like for a year.
They said, here, been done in 2017. I'm like, really?
Yeah, I think she and I both looked at each other.
They
like,
never really officially said anything. I think that was a chasing question of whether they're done or whether they're done. And then they said, oh yeah, we were done in April or March of 2017. I'm like, what? 2018. I'm like, really? No. So we can definitely keep that on the agenda and update you going forward.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next is financials, April the 2019.
Good evening, councilwomen. I'm gonna go ahead and present financials for the month of April. And then I would like to update you on some of the items or funds that I'm gonna be presenting. The major funds, like every month, is general fund, water fund, and wastewater fund. The general fund collected $2,664,706 on revenues. Expenses were $2,447,370, giving us a surplus of $217,336. We still need about 3 months and a half to finish the year, so they don't get too excited about that number because it can go down. Especially towards the end of the year, the employees, they start wrapping up their projects, and that's when most of the expenses come in. Because I'm talking about general fund, I want to let you know I went to a GFOA meeting at the beginning of May, and one of the discussions was that we're going to lose some of the revenue from the franchise. And the reason why we're going to lose in other cities is not just Floresville, it's the entire state of Texas, because there's a legislation that all these companies that are coming in, Spectrum, AT&T, Dish, all of these companies that can provide the citizens with cable, TV, internet, and phones. And then besides, like AT&T has a landline phone service, they cannot be paying franchise taxes twice. So what the legislation is doing is that they're evaluating each company, and the less amount of money that produces franchise fees, that's the one that is gonna be eliminated. The one that I see that most everybody does is the phone companies, or the companies that provide not only internet and cell phone services, but they also provide landlines. And the reason why that one is going to be affected is because a lot of people is going to cell phones instead of having a landline on their home. And because of that, they have a lot less services on that, for them to be paying services on phone service, landline, and cell phone or cable or TV, internet. So they pay the cities for those other franchises instead of the phones. It's gonna be, I foresee that it's gonna be a minimum loss, but it's still, small cities are gonna be affected. And that's gonna be, for small cities like us, it's gonna be quite a bit of a hit, losing that kind of revenue. For the water fund, we collected $1,070,000. Do you have a question?
Can I ask you a question?
Yes,
On
ma'am.
that one, on the general funds, I see the LEOSE officer training, they're short 1,024. What is that?
Okay, can you point me on the page?
It's on the same general
First
fund,
page.
right there where you're talking about.
453.
Fund 453? Okay,
That's the same, yeah.
that's the Fund 453, right? Okay, that is police department officers training. And that's what they use it for. They only use it for training. So why is it on the negative? Because they only budget, the chief only budget a certain amount of money for training that he anticipated that he was gonna use. I told them, when I talked to Mr. Assistant Chief Perry, I told him that if they needed more training, and then we needed to come before you guys and do a budget amendment. This is one of the funds that we cannot do a full budget for federal government, the police department funds, which is 450, 452, and this one, which is 453, cannot have a budget. But because this is a training, we do just a percentage of the fund balance. So in the fund balance, they have like $3,000. Let me see, 3,722. So they can go ahead and a portion of that, so they will not deplete it completely. They can do a budget amendment and do more training out of that fund. But whatever they budget, they already used it. That's why it's on the negative.
Okay. Excuse me, is there any question?
Yeah, and they were training new officers also, so that we were not counting on.
Okay.
Okay? Any more questions? Okay, fund.
Nurse has a question.
For line item 420, child safety fund,
Yes, ma'am.
that one's also in the negative.
Okay, all of these funds, child safety belongs to the court. Court technology fund belongs to the court. Court security fund belongs to the court. And what they do on a quarterly basis, out of whatever money they collect, they assign a percentage by the state of Texas to these funds for technology, for building security, and these other one for child safety is to provide safety to the kids of the community. They can either choose to provide safety, the car seats, and or they can also use it to purchase office supplies, which is what they use this one for. So we budget very little because they have very small amounts in there, and the little bit that we budget, they use it all, and they go over. So we need to go ahead and change that, but I do a budget amendment at the end of the year to fix all of that. And that is acceptable by the audit.
So they mostly go over budget for office supplies and not actual
Yes.
child safety supplies?
Well, that fund has not been used for a while. And because it's very little that they put in like about 200 and some a quarter, there's not enough for them to do like a campaign and say, You know, the city of Floresville is giving free car seats. It's not enough money in there. So it's been several years that they haven't used it. And they're in need of office supplies because now they're doing the roundup. Yes. So they decided to use some of that money for that. But they're not using everything, so,
Yeah.
you know.
So they're not using everything, why are they short $490?
Because we only budget a portion of it. The rest of the money is in fund balance. It's like, it rolls over every year.
Is there any more
I have
questions?
a question. So, Connie, in other words, if they don't have the money, if they have to have something, what do you do? I mean, something in emergency.
The city has to help.
Where did that come from?
The city admin fund 301 out of the administration accounts. Like, for example, if a computer gives out in the court and they don't have money to buy, that's the reason why they have the technology fund. And believe me, that one is already depleted. They are in the minus. So if they have something like that, and then they come to the city manager and say, we need help, we need this computer, and general fund will take care of that.
So will that affect our general fund?
Absolutely,
Oh, yeah.
So that's not really, oh, okay.
absolutely. Because the court is a department of general fund.
Okay,
Thank you,
Mr.
ma'am.
Jimenez
Yes,
has a
ma'am.
question.
Okay. Doesn't the court allocate their own monies?
Excuse me?
The court allocates their own monies, the police department allocates their own monies. So, I don't know, I just heard Mr. Perry say that there was money that's supposed to be allocated for, I guess, to renew their licenses and everything else. Isn't that supposed to be in there already? That's something that is necessary to budget?
What
Because
happened-
without that, they can't move forward?
Well, what happened, Mr. Jimenez, if you remember correctly, when we went through the budget process last year, okay, we were working on a deficit.
Okay.
So we needed to cut expenses on all the departments. And you were part of the process, we did that. And
But
even,
I would have never agreed to cut the licenses.
no, but, yeah, the chief explained and he was there telling what he needed most.
Yeah, but to cut the licensing part or the training part, in fact, we had a big ordeal on it when they were gonna stop the policemen from going to their classes. And we put a stop to that, remember that?
Yes, and that's the
Okay,
reason
so-
why we have, like, the police chief on the workshops, the budget workshops, he comes in and he says, this is what I need, and he reviews the budget. I give him those worksheets.
Yeah.
So he looks at it and he agreed to reduce that line item.
You reduced it?
Well, we all did, and he agreed with it.
No, that was, I don't know how, what person are you?
She's
Henrietta,
right
how did that happen?
As Connie said before, just like the municipal court and the police department, that all falls into the Fund 301. And we had a deficit of $104,000 last year. And so when you have to think about it, that budget line of all of them, water's fine, sewer's fine, but the 309, the administrative budget, that's the one that's in deficit. And so as your auditor came to you and in my budget letter that I explained to you is that we can't keep budgeting more than what revenue we take in. And I know if a court can't pay for itself, their revenue is down. We have ramped them up a lot, that they've had 4 roundups and they're about to have 2 more. We've added some additional services to them, and so what we have to do, because remember, budget is just a forecast. We're just trying to look into the future, where we look at what we've done in the past. And so the activity that we had in the past for the court is what we budget on going forward. But their expenses in postage and envelopes and mailing out and all that kind of stuff they're doing for one roundup they never did before, is not what we're seeing. We actually have those numbers.
But what I'm saying is,
And reference to that issue, what we're having a problem is that they misjudge about what they thought the charge was going to be. We've also had, I think they've hired additional 4 new officers that we hadn't anticipated. And of course, you all made a budget amendment in reference to the uniforms. and then, so there's additional training. And so as we come through, we need to mark these things, and we'll make sure. We've also had some IT issues, we're dealing with phones. And so it is just a forecast, we're trying to figure out the best we can, but this particular fund, Fund 301 Administration, is the one that has a deficit. And so we're hoping that it'll be better in the audit, or that'll be coming up very soon, but that's where we're at in reference to that.
But
Go ahead.
what I'm saying is that during budget, when we said we were gonna cut things, we're gonna cut things that were, things that we really didn't need. That is mandatory. So how can we have cut something like that?
I don't think it was cut, I think the number was wrong that we were given. I'll give you an example. One time when we did a police car, we had a budget for a police car, and I think the budget was somewhere around 42. But the true cost of a police car is 42, but when you fully load it, it's actually more like 53. And so when we budgeted the 42, times however many cars we went, but actually it was 53 times 100, let's say 53 times 2, that's how there's a difference in that. And so I think the number that they thought was actually the number we put in there wasn't enough sufficient to be able to do that. So we're going to actually assist, because the chief has really been, I have to say, he stepped into the plate in reference to some of the other overage that we had in the budget. And so this zero-based budget is the first time we've had that. We definitely put in all of our purchase orders and keeping a line item on that so we can find out where the money goes.
But we gotta do something already as of today.
Yes,
Mr. Perry said that we're late payment. What'd you say, we're late payment that is due on the 4th or 3rd?
It was due on the,
Yeah, but we're gonna pay it.
yes, we're gonna actually submit that. They brought it to county's attention, we're gonna pay that. And then we're going to actually locate the funding going forward.
We don't wanna get penalized, that's what I'm getting at.
We're gonna move money around to go ahead and cover that bill.
Yes.
I need to make a clarification. We did hire 4 police officers, but we had already budgeted for other officers that were there, for one, but we paid the ones, now we pay them a lot less than what we used to pay the other ones.
Yes, but that's also training and then uniforms, because every time you get a new officer, there's a new uniform. One of the things that we did make mandatory, which every officer, is that they have to have a safety vest. Each one of those safety vests are personalized to their bodies, and they run about between $850 to $900. Now, they last for about 5 years, but so when the new officer comes in, they have to have their own safety vest, and we did make that a mandatory thing, which is not necessarily something that we budget.
And the new police officers that we got, they weren't people that we hired or we were fully staffed. Those were people that needed to be in place, but we didn't to save us money for our budget. The chief didn't hire people until later on.
We have
Right.
people who left, and
Yeah.
when people leave.
It's just a replacement. That's all I'm
Yes,
saying.
so it's a replacement.
So that budget was already there.
That's why I was
It's lower salary and
clarified.
higher salary, but you have to remember that in the police department, unlike any other department, when they leave, we pay a portion of their sick time. When they leave, they get all their vacation time. And so there are huge amounts, so that salary line item that you're talking about, they take up all that salary. Now, they do according to the bargaining agreement now. When I leave, I don't get any of my sick time. But according to the, depending on what they have, they get a portion of their sick time, all of their vacation time. And so those things are, so that salary is not necessarily a pure savings because I have to pay out all the vacation time.
And then also you have to pay the uniforms for the new staff. Even though we're replacing police officers, we still have to fully close the new police officers. So if we replace 4, that's 4 uniforms, or maybe 3. If we already planned for 1, that's 3 officers that we were not planning to dress. And we have that in the budget.
Yes, and they even typically, at least they use them, they leave, they take their weapon with them, they purchase it and they take their weapon with them, and there's additional training to do so. So I think with Assistant Chief Perry, I know he said he's going to definitely be at the budgeting table. He already has his workshop already, his worksheet already, so that we can fine tune and sharpen our pencil to make sure that we get the numbers right and that we get the numbers accurate. But because I just want to remind you that they are in 301, and that is the one fund that we are in a deficit.
Do we have any more questions?
I have one. What I'm not understanding is that this shortage of money that we have for licenses for these officers, what happened there? Don't we budget every year the same amount?
It just, the number that we have in that line item, okay, so this is how the purchase order system works. They ask for something, and let's say it's $25,000 on that line item. When you go to pay it, the computer will say, nope, you can't pay it because it's 30 and you only have 25 there. It won't let you put it into a deficit. So we have to move money from other places to put on that line item to charge to that. So what we'll have to do is move money around so that we can get to that magic number of $30,000, pay the bill, and then we'll have to see, because the computer will not allow you to overrun a line item. And we fixed that in last year, because that was one of the things that the auditor said, was that we were allowing line items to get out of whack. And then at the end of the year, it was a big transfer of money. And so as it goes along, it will stop you. It will not allow you to overrun the budget. Is that right, Ms. Secretary? She worked that system a long time.
But hasn't this been for years, the same amount, Mr. Perry,
No, the number is not the
as
same.
far as for the licensing?
No, it's not. It depends on
I
our
guess,
use.
if you're asking me, ma'am, I can't speak to what it was last year. I know there was 16,500 in the previous year's budget. Prior to that, I really don't know. According to Chief Herrera, it's been a constant amount for the last however long we've had cops. And I'm not saying Ms. Turner or Connie are wrong. I don't know, but I'm just going by what Chief Herrera told me.
Yeah, so there's a license we bought with CopSync, and so there's a lot of things we have to pay for CopSync during the time, and there are a lot of the different modules. It's all based on CopSync, so at one point in time, we had to add a module for, but it's court that wasn't necessarily something to be able to do that. But we can address the audit so that we won't lose our licenses. We're also working on it right now to make sure that we have the proper firewall, which is changing what we're doing with our phone systems as well. IT is really technical sometimes.
Thank you.
And expensive. Any more questions from the council? Any more questions?
I just have a comment. So I understand that we have to maintain effort from year to year, and when we're planning our budget, we pretty much try to keep the same amount. There are going to be those times where we will go over or there's different needs. I think there just needs to be clear communication between the departments, so the department knows that you're coming up to the cusp of your budget, and this is going to put you over. And so being smart about our spending, and also looking forward, understanding that if you pull from this, it's going to affect some other department.
Yes.
I think we just need to be very transparent about that.
And I was doing that at the beginning of my working with the city of Floresville, because I used to do that with Gloria when she was running the civic center. I would send those reports, and then when she was on the minus already, I would sit with her and say, Gloria, you need to transfer money because this line item is already depleted. But it was not so much strict, because we were using paper purchase orders. Now that we're using them on the system, now it's more strict, because we cannot put a purchase order on a line item that is on the negative. And so I'm all for working with the departments. So I'm gonna work very closely with Mr. Perry, and once he approves that budget, I'm gonna have him sign it. So that way we know that he approves what is in there, so we can make it through the year. Now, another thing is that because the general fund was on a deficit, all departments had to suffer. I understand that you cannot suffer on licenses, but we also reduced licenses for administration. And I've been trying to move money from here, from there, to cover those licenses. But there was a lot of that was not used last year. So I was not gonna over budget because I didn't have the money. My fund was already on a deficit. So I needed to work some magic. And of course, when you do that, something is gonna fall through the cracks. Okay. Any more questions?
I have one more question. At our last meeting, we appointed the audit committee. Do we know when?
I'm having a meeting tomorrow morning with the auditors to see where they're at. They were here 3 weeks, and then they pulled out because they had an emergency at their office. And then they came back for another 2 weeks, and then they had to pull out another week. And then they came back for 2 days. So in the times that they pull out, they have pending items, and then they don't follow up on them. So they leave them in whatever room they're working on, and they're leaving on the top, and then somebody else comes in, it's not the same person, so they don't follow up. So right now, I'm getting emails on follow-ups, on, I asked for this, where this is where is it at? So I'm answering a lot of that. So I'm hoping that by the beginning of June, and it cannot go over June 23rd, I think is the council meeting, because the audit to the federal government is due on June 30th.
Okay, thank you.
Okay? Any more questions?
I got a question.
Okay, let me see,
Okay.
Ms. Martinez finish.
Okay. One question, Connie, what is actually the time frame for auditors? Or is
They
there a
should-
different?
No, they should be here only 2 weeks, maximum 3 weeks. But my experience with these new auditors, because before it was Pat, I don't remember her last name.
I think I know who you're talking about.
She was here for 3 weeks, and then she retired, and Mike De Toro came in, which is now the auditor. And I haven't seen an audit that he conducts that is 3 weeks, 2 weeks, the most 3 weeks. It's usually 2 months or 2 months and a half, because they pull out. He takes all his people, and then they're emailing, we need this, we need that, so we provide it through email, and then they come back. And what we have been experiencing is that when they come back, they review, like, they send these, like a recently graduated accountant to come and do the audit, okay? And then when the senior accountants come in, they have to review their work. So they use 2, maximum 3 days on reviewing their work, and then they move on. And they start doing, more things. And then all of a sudden, they have to pull out because they're senior auditors, CPAs. They have to be at the office. So they pull out, and then they come back. And again, they have to find their place. So that's the reason why it's taking longer. Because this year, I was ready for them. And right now, what I have, it's little problems that they found, and it's normal. But they're taking too long on asking information for those items.
Because I know last year it was a real long drawn out, right?
That 2015, 2016, that was the longest.
Yeah. So how do we have a contract with these auditors as far as payment, or how do we deal with them?
I did an RFQ, which is a request for professional services, and I did it on the year of 2016, 2017, but they were chosen again. And those auditors we had for 10 years already, and you're supposed to change them like every 5 years. So that way new eyes can come in, and I might have a mistake in the books that these auditors have not been able to catch, but nobody's gonna catch it because it's always the same auditor. And I do promote for new eyes to come in and look at my books. That way they can tell me, hey, you're doing this wrong. Well, the other auditor didn't cut it, but they did. So we fix it. And that's what I want, but for some reason, they were picked again.
Well, actually, that's the purpose of auditing, right?
Yes.
To find mistakes and find exactly what's going
Absolutely,
on.
yes.
So
And
what-
nobody is exempt of mistakes. We all make mistakes. So that's the reason why we have external auditors to come and look at our books. And the thing is that they also get audited.
So do you have a figure of what we paid last year for these auditors?
We pay in between 53 to 56,000 for the full audit.
And what do you know how much we're gonna pay this year?
It's just about the same. Because they're not doing extra work. I'm doing everything. Mr. Jimenez?
Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
No, I think the question that Marissa asked, I believe, was, when are they gonna be able to meet with the auditors or see what's going on?
They have to have a draft audit, meaning that they have all the numbers correct.
We picked 3 people, right, or 4 people?
3.
3 people.
Yeah, but
Last council people over there to sit in the meetings, they wanna know when.
I don't know, sir. They have to have those numbers first
So,
before they sit with me.
They don't have a draft.
They don't have a draft yet. So if they come in, they're not gonna give you a true picture of what the audit is.
Okay, you could continue with enterprise funds,
Okay.
the water fund.
The water fund, the year-to-date revenue collected was $1,075,882. Expenses were $1,031,477 with a surplus of $39,105. The sewer fund had $921,481 revenue for the sewer and $773,034 on expenses. That gives us $148,447 surplus for that fund. So all the major funds are in a surplus right now. Any questions on those two?
That sounds good.
It sounds good. Okay, so,
Okay, on that same enterprise, funds,
okay,
why is the 4A Corporation, $55,685 short?
because the 4A never makes money. They're always on the minus. Their operations is not producing any revenue.
How about the 4B?
Well, the 4B is,
Rich.
no.
They're in the
The reason why they're on the minus is because they just paid us the $227,000 for the projects, the park and the parking lot, the park, and what was the other 50,000?
For the
Sidewalks.
The sidewalk match.
Thank you.
Okay.
Is there any questions on that one? No?
Yes,
Go ahead.
going back to before you said that they're in the deficit,
40? No.
FEDC.
No. They're not on a deficit. They have spent
Right.
more,
Right.
but because the revenue still is
Right.
not coming
I
in.
understand, but I thought it was said that they're in the
It's-
deficit.
It is,
Well,
No,
it
it's
is
not
in
in the
the,
deficit.
look,
I
No, that's
missed it.
money that they pulled out.
they
Right.
put down, yes.
So this,
So you're saying they're in the deficit?
No.
They're not. in
okay,
the
but
deficit.
it's
They
minus
have-
like before this month.
They have
But
$2
it's
million,
not-
they have $2 million in fund balance.
I know
Yes, I
that.
see
They're
that.
the
That is
richest
why I'm
fund.
saying, are they in the deficit?
No,
Okay.
Okay,
Thank you.
because
So
right here
they're
it
not in
shows
the
that.
deficit.
That's on the
That's
budget.
why I was asking
They're
the
not in the
question,
deficit.
and you said it was,
They're not
because
in
they
the
well,
paid
because
out.
it's a minus, I call it a deficit, but
Yes.
it's on the budget, it's not the
They're
fund
not in
being
the
on the
deficit.
minus, no.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah, if you look at the fund balance,
yes, I see
the
that.
next column
I see.
is not on the deficit.
Then
Okay,
it's not in
thank
the
you.
deficit.
No, sir. Okay, so I would like to continue on the sales tax. For the month of April, we have received from the comptrollers, Texas comptrollers, $282,824, giving the city a portion of $141,412. And if we compare the last month to current month, there's an increase of $50,580, which is 26%. And if we compare the same month to last year, we have collected $290,759, which is a 17%. That is the most that I've seen on sales tax. That is excellent. Okay. So, unless you have questions, that concludes my financial report.
Does anyone have any questions on any of these items? How come over here on page 4, we pay the Wilson County Auditor?
We always pay the county auditor because we're paying them the food inspections.
Okay.
They do the inspections for the city on the restaurants, and then they charge us. Okay.
And what is this Controller of Public Accounts on page 6?
That is the Texas comptroller. We pay the Texas comptroller municipal court fees. We pay sales tax fees.
Okay. Is there any questions?
All right. Thank
Okay, I
you.
have one more. On page 13, the vehicle and equipment minor repairs.
Okay.
And then equipment's major repair of $1,935. Where does that money come from? Does it come from each department?
On page 13,
On page 13.
that's the sewer fund.
Page 13?
Uh-huh. Or is it on
No,
that
sorted by
page?
checks.
For the checks, okay.
Sorted by checks.
Yeah, because you have two reports here. Okay, this is a summary of what is being paid by fund. So which is your
The
question?
question was a vehicle and equipment minor repair and the equipment major repair. One is for $1,732 and one is for $1,935. All I want to know is where does that money come from that you're paying out?
Okay, it's coming from sewer. Okay, because of the USDA, I don't know if you remember, we separated water and sewer. Okay, well, we were doing transfers to general fund to cover for these repairs. And then USDA said, no more transfers. And so the auditors said, you need to make those line items on the correct funds. So I did. So that money for these vehicle equipment minor repairs is coming out of 222-501-3107, which is a sewer line item. And then the equipment major repairs, that's for their big equipment that they have, it also comes out of Fund 222, which is a sewer.
Any questions? Any questions from anyone? Okay, so does that conclude your presentation?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, now we'll go into new business. No, wait. I'm sorry, 2019 street maintenance
Oh, yes.
specifications.
We're all
Sorry.
No, and
I would skip you.
I would apologize too, because I just want to show you, this is the complete bid specification package. It's actually 101 pages long, and I did not want to duplicate that for everyone to be able to do it. So in doing that, I left out a page, and I believe that the city secretary gave you an addendum to make sure you have all the streets listed. So if you look, I was trying to give you the highlights, but I guess I missed on the highlights. But one of the things we want to definitely say is that this is out. Of course, it's not due yet, but we can make any additions, collections, whatever we want to add on, take away, we can do so. But we need to be able to get it out there because time is getting away from us. So the bids have been available since May 20th. It's online, everything now is in cyberspace. It is actually on our website as well, is that right? Okay, so it's on our website as well. They can download it, they do everything electronically. And so it looks like the bids will be due back June 13th for the engineer to review. And then the next step would be for them to make a recommendation to you. Now looking at it, we have about between $1 million, $1.5 million, is that right, Connie, about $1 million, $1.5 million in street money. And so the engineer added a few streets more than what we had so that we can see what the total is, and then we can subtract whatever we're going to do. It is economy of scale, so it's, to see what we can get for our bang for our buck, but it is a la carte. If you look at it, it says the base bid is Plum Street, because from our conversation in our workshop, Plum Street, everybody agreed on that was the street that we had to do. So
It's $1,200,000.
$1,200,000. So when we come to that, we're saying that the base bid is Plum Street. Any other street that's listed in there, they're saying we can add on, take off, depending on what the cost is. And so they will be bringing that before you for approval before it's actually done.
Yes, Ms. Turner, but we had agreed on 3rd to 5th on G Street, and we had agreed on D Street 7th through 10th.
Yes.
That was our first pick. That's what we were gonna bid on.
Yes, and the engineer said he wanted to make some recommendations to see.
But we didn't vote for that. It doesn't matter what the engineer,
So we included what you voted on, and if you don't want these additional streets, we'll just make them.
we'll just keep, okay, because these people that are gonna bid, they're gonna wanna bid for the whole thing and give it to us cheaper. And then we just voted for this. And for Plum Street, and we voted 3 to 5, and this is even wrong, because it says D 7 through 8, and it's not, it's 7 through 10.
Yes, and
That's what we wanted to bid for.
and I will make sure that we tell the engineer that, and we can change it if that's what you want to do.
Yes, we want to change it. Do we change it now, or do we reject this one and?
No, all we have to do is to make an amendment to their changes. So before they submit before June 13th, we'll tell everybody that would do that, those can maybe do that. It's not on the item to take an action, we've already taken action.
No, but it's on the bids. It's out there in public, and it's not, we're not telling them the truth.
You can amend a bid anytime before you submit and take numbers. And so we'll be able to make that amendment to do that, and we'll make sure that we do that so that we can get those bids out and we can get them back in a timely manner. So that we can have them back for you for June, and then we'll come back and just bring back the exact ones that we have.
Because we're gonna, like you know, like you say, we're running out of time, we're running out of time. You know, you give it to us right when we're gonna run out of time, and this is not what we decided. So, you know, we need to do what we voted on, what we discussed, and that was it.
I'll make sure that they make that correction.
Because, you know, I
You
don't believe that
You'll
we
make the
should.
correction already?
Not yet, I'll wait to meet with you all, and then we'll make the correction right away.
Make the correction,
And
and then also.
I'll bring you a copy of the amended bid specs.
Yes, and also because we discussed it, and, you know, there was audience here, and everybody heard us. And then just to go behind and just let M&S change it, that's not right.
Okay, we'll make sure. Okay.
Thank you very
Thank you.
much.
So just to clarify, Ms. Turner, for the mill and overlay base bid is Plum Street, but will you be specific in putting 4th through 10th?
Yes.
And then so the additive bids of E, G 5th and 7th, G 10th, 11th, F Street are gonna come off?
Yes.
And then for D, it's gonna be 7th through 10th,
That's correct.
and G Street 3rd through 5th.
Yes.
Okay.
Does that include the one here? Yes.
Yes.
That's the one including that
Yes.
Martinez
Street.
added. G Street, G Street. Okay, thank you very much.
We'll have round two. We're gonna have round two. Where should we?
Okay, then we'll continue to, okay, now we're in 3 new business. Okay, to appoint members to 4A, to include any reappointments of current members. Okay, that, we do not have any documents provided. So does that mean we take on it?
We did not receive any application. I believe at the last meeting, we gave everyone a list of the vacancies and applications. If we have anybody recommendation, but we do have a vacancy on that board. If you'd like to table for at this time, it's on the website.
I'll make a motion, table.
Okay, do I have a second motion? And Gloria seconds it. Can we vote on that? Everybody, raise your right hand if you want to vote for it. Okay, 5-0.
Because as long as we don't
Okay,
have
B.
any, excuse me, Mayor, 13. As long as we don't have any applicants, there's really no use in going over this all the time. Is there, Henrietta?
Well, we have these vacancies on the board, and so we're
Yeah.
going to bring it before you all to say if you have an opportunity to fill it. It was there before when we took the resignation from the last time. I think we took one from 4B, and those vacancies were brought to your attention. And so the action that you all said was to bring it forward if you had any applications. So we'll leave it off the agenda unless you have an application, but you do have a vacancy on that board.
Anybody in the audience interested?
Item B, okay, we'll table it. Okay, item B, 3B, to appoint members to Board of Adjustments, to include any reappointments of current members, appoint to fill vacancies, replace existing members.
I'll make a motion to,
We have some,
you do?
You have, I believe you have 3 members who are currently on your plan commission, your planning and zoning, that have submitted a letter of interest. They already have an application on file, a letter of interest for the Board of Adjustments. Now, anything that goes to P and Z, and we have a member here, anybody who goes from P and Z typically goes on to a Board of Adjustment. So they don't meet every month like some of the other committees, but they have actually submitted, I believe there were
There's 3 here.
There were 3 that were actually asked to be put on those committees.
If anybody wants to appoint them, well, hold on just a second.
Okay, thank you.
So if anybody wants to appoint them, does anybody have any?
I'll make a motion to approve it.
To appoint the people that applied,
Yes.
who is Teddy Harley, Philip Vicon, and Ray Lambert.
Yeah, I'll make a
Those
motion.
3, make a motion.
I'll second.
You have a second. Okay, so there's a motion to appoint the 3 members that I just said to the adjustment, Board of Adjustments. Do I have,
A second.
and a second? Everybody raise your, whoever wants to say yes, raise your right hand.
All right.
5, okay. 5 to
We
0.
need to have, ask for any, Mayor Pro Tem, we need to ask for any citizen comments.
Do you have any, has anybody anything to say? Well, sorry about that, Mr. Gonzalez. Okay, item 3C. CNA to appoint members to the Visitor, Tourist, and Convention, and we don't have any documents provided, so can I have a motion to table?
I'll make a motion.
Second?
I second.
Okay.
All in favor?
All in favor, raise your right hand. 5-0. Okay, D. To appoint members to the Floresville ECD, FEDC, to include any reappointment of current members. Do I have, and there's no documents provided? Do I have a motion to table?
Right.
Second.
All in favor, raise your right hand. Okay, E, to approve resolution 2019-010 to establish a hike and bike committee. And,
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
okay, I'm gonna read, should I read the resolution before or after we vote?
Probably before, Mayor.
Okay. A resolution of the City Council of the City of Floresville, Texas, in support of a hike and bike trail, and authorizing the city manager to undertake efforts to create a hike and bike trail committee and to develop a master hike and bike trail plan for the City of Floresville, Texas, and providing an effective date. Whereas the City Council of the City of Floresville recognizes that the creation of a hike and bike trail will enhance the quality of life of its citizens and will further enhance community pride. And whereas the City Council for the City of Floresville further recognizes that the creation of a hike and bike trail may bolster the city's economy through tourism, recreation, construction, and jobs. And whereas the City Council of the City of Floresville recognizes that in order to achieve this goal, it is necessary to authorize the city manager to create a hike and bike trail committee and to develop a master hike and bike trail plan for the City of Floresville, Texas. Now therefore be it resolved that the mayor and the City Council of the City of Floresville adopt a resolution and authorize the city manager to create a hike and bike trail committee and to develop a master hike and bike trail plan for the City of Floresville. This resolution shall take effect immediately from and after the date of passage and is so resolved. Adopted this 23rd day of May 2019.
Mayor, I make a comment. I just wanted to, this is on this subject, the text dot, we applied for a text dot to do a grant on the hike and bike. We made the first run, and so we made the first preliminary hurdle, and they're physically coming out Tuesday to actually drive the hike and bike trail. I want to thank Ben Reed officially for letting us use his Valera so that we can tour that. So we're actually in the running to get some funding for that. The gentleman who was here for census said that he's excited about it, and so he wants to come back and ride because he rides the green trailway, the greenway. it's 100 miles. And so he would love to come and practice on our little 2.9 miles. So it will pick up and be able to do that, and that goes right in line with those signs that you all have already agreed to do on the community route. So that hiking bike is coming to run. Hopefully we can do. Just for information, it is going to be a 10-foot wide concrete paved area that would allow us to do that back and forth for traffic pedestrians as well as those on vehicles. So this is one of the things that's going to really help us go forward, and we have a couple of volunteers already that want to be on this committee.
I am excited as well.
Yes. Yes. We got
Great
and
opportunity.
the fish is almost done with Ms. Martinez. Working on it.
So, how many more members do you need?
Well, we have one young lady who's volunteered already. That didn't say we need at least 3, but we need some
I
height.
thought the gentleman said 7.
He said that they would actually pay up to 7 memberships, and they said for the first year, because we're small, they're going to give us the memberships for free. But he'll be coming back, and he will be one of the 7 as well. So they'll be coming back to speak to us, and so thank you so much if you all would take this into consideration.
Henrietta, how are you advertising for the committee?
We're putting it on our website, and we run ads occasionally in the Wilson News, but I haven't run anything recently. But we're putting it on the website, and hopefully everybody can do that, so put it on.
Well, you can tell the gentleman that was working with you, no, he's the one that does the running.
Yes, the one who does the trap and run.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he lives actually in the county and not necessarily in the city, but he wants to be on the county, he wants to be on the committee, and some of his members is on the top of travel that every year, they want to be in the committee as well. So it will be, once we establish it, we'll be able to put it together, and then we can come and have them present to you all the plan.
Okay, so any more questions from anyone?
You just-
Take a vote.
Yeah, you just need a vote.
To approve the resolution
Yes.
210-010 to establish a hike and bike committee.
Yeah, I made a motion, right?
A motion made by Jimenez,
And I second.
seconded by Jimenez. Everybody in favor, raise your right hand. That's fine. All right. Thank you, Ms. Chairman.
Thank you.
Okay, now we're going to new business, item G.
You should have before you an Excel spreadsheet like this. Please forgive the time zone. We try to get it in your packages for Tuesday, but everybody was still trying to clean out their closet literally and put items on this list. The purpose of this list is to have a general description so that we can have a record of what we're going to put out for auction. We're going to be selling as is on June 8th. I know at the former meeting we were trying to do it another day, but we couldn't get everybody to agree to come forward, and you all need to approve what we're going to dispose. The attorney, do you have a copy?
No, I need to finish up. Not yet. Thank you.
You said it's June 9th?
It should be Saturday, June 8th.
Oh, June 8th.
Okay, so what staff has done is put together this list. Eli's here, who helped put together this list. And I'll tell you, he went around twisting everybody's arm to give something to the garage sale, so to speak. So Eli, if you have any questions, you have the list there. These things he'll speak to that are definitely that we can use. We need to be able to try to dispose of them. But if you have any questions, he's here to address those.
I don't have any questions. I trust your judgment. Whatever you all think that is for sale, it's for sale. Does anybody else have any questions?
No. You need a motion for this?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
I'll make a motion to.
Well, let me read, CNA to approve city items for sale and disposal on June 8, 2019. Go ahead.
I'll make a motion to.
I second. Okay, all in favor? 4-0. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And we will be putting an advertisement in the newspaper as well as on Facebook as to instructions on how we're going to do this silent auction so that we can not necessarily have the fees. And so we're going to be able to do that. And just for the record, it's going to be a blind auction and staff can participate as well with minimum bids.
Okay, now we will go to item 4. Pursuant to Government Code Section 551.074, personal matters to deliberate the appointment, employment evaluation, reassignment, duties, discipline, or dismissal of a public employee, the City of Floresville Comptroller, work performance.
And if I may, Madam Mayor and council members, my understanding is that that item, the individual that it deals with has actually requested that it be held in open session. Is that correct?
I have a question.
Yes.
Last time we held an executive and open, we received a letter about that. Do we need that in writing as well?
I think that there, I know that I received,
She submitted a letter to
An
myself, I forwarded on to his secretary, and so.
Do y'all have copies of the letter?
I have an email that I received.
Because I can get them, that's one message.
Yeah.
We received it this
Ms. Monica,
afternoon.
do you want